This is the most unbreakable surfer who ever lived. He punched a great white shark on live television and walked away without a single scratch.
Champion surfer, he's back home this morning after that terrifying shark attack, and we are all happy that he is safe. And ABC's TJ Holmes is here with the story.
He buried 3 brothers before the age of 43. He won 3 world titles.
Just shared my first ever world title with
with a body held together by surgery and sheer willpower. This is how Mick Fanning lives, and it is absolutely unbreakable. Mick Fanning was born on June 13, 1981, in Penrith, a rough, working-class town in Western Sydney, Australia. He was the youngest of 5 kids born to Irish immigrant parents. His mother Liz raised all 5 children mostly on her own after his parents split up when Mick was barely 3 years old. They had nothing, surviving on hand-me-down clothes and tight budgets while raising 5 kids in a small house. Liz moved the family from town to town, trying to find something better, until they finally landed on the Gold Coast around 1993 when Mick was 12 years old. For the first time in his life, he had snapper rocks, Kira, and burly heads right at his doorstep, and the ocean became his escape. At Palm Beach Currumbin High School, he met 2 kids who would change his life forever, Joel Parkinson and Dean Morrison. The 3 of them became known as the Coolangatta Kids, and together they were about to take over Australian surfing. But Mick had something the others did not. He had his older brother Sean, who was his hero, and his best friend all wrapped into one. The 2 of them shared a dream of making it to the world tour together, proving that 2 kids from a broken home could become the best in the world. On August 14, 1998, that dream died. Sean Fanning was just 20 years old when he and a friend named Joel Green got into a car on the Gold Coast. The car crashed, and both of them were killed instantly. That night, Mick had been offered a ride in that same car. He said no. He decided to walk home instead. While he was walking, a police car pulled up and told him his brother was gone. Mick was 17 years old. He locked himself in his room for a week, refusing to eat or talk to anyone, just sitting there trying to understand how the person he loved most could be taken away in 1 second. But when he finally came out of that room, something had changed inside him. He was not going to give up. He was going to chase that dream for both of them, because every wave, every contest, and every title from that point forward would be for Sean. In 2001, at just 20 years old, Mick Fanning got a wildcard entry into the Rip Curl Pro at Bells Beach, one of the most famous surf contests in history. He was a nobody, just a kid from the suburbs with no sponsor money and no expectations. He won the entire event. He beat every single pro who stood in front of him, and when he stood on the winner's podium, he pointed to the sky and said one word: Sean. That victory earned him the nickname White Lightning because of his blonde hair and his incredible speed on a wave. People started calling him the fastest surfer on earth, and he was just getting started. By 2002, he was a full-time pro on the championship tour. He won his first big event at Jeffreys Bay as a rookie and finished the year ranked 5th in the world. He was named Rookie of the Year with the best rookie result in tour history at that time. But in 2004, disaster struck. While surfing in Sumatra, his entire hamstring muscle ripped clean off the bone. The doctors had to drill into his pelvis with a grappling hook to reattach it. He could not even sit down for 6 weeks. Mick came back and won the very first event of the next season. In 2007, he became world champion for the first time. He was the first Australian to win the title since Mark Occhilupo in 1999. Dolphins seemed to appear in his most crucial heats, which he believed was a sign from Sean watching over him. He won his second world title in 2009 in a brutal battle against his best friend Joel Parkinson. And in 2013, he won his third by beating Kelly Slater on the final day at Pipeline. By the time the dust settled, Mick Fanning had racked up 3 world titles, 22 championship tour victories, and 9 Australian Surfer of the Year awards. Mick Fanning had turned his pain into power. He had become one of the greatest surfers the world had ever seen. And then 2015 came along and tried to destroy everything. Before the shark attack, Mick's marriage had already fallen apart. He and his wife Carissa had been together since 2004 and married since 2008, but early in 2015, they separated. The shark attack briefly brought them back together, but by January 2016, the divorce was final. Then came the shark. Millions watched it live. He punched a great white and walked away without a scratch. His fellow competitor Julian Wilson had paddled toward the attack to try and save him. The contest was canceled. Mick tried to move on, but the nightmares would not stop. He would wake up at 2 in the morning, kicking the sheets, feeling the shark pulling at his legs. He got counseling and forced himself back in the water less than a week later. But during that very session, he spotted a second shark. But December 2015 delivered the cruelest blow of all. Mick's older brother Peter was staying at his home on the Gold Coast. Peter was 43 years old, and one night he went to sleep and never woke up. His heart, enlarged and weakened, simply stopped. Mick had now buried 2 brothers, Sean at 20, Peter at 43. On the very same day Peter died, Mick had a surf heat to compete in, and he went out there. He paddled into the ocean with tears in his eyes and beat Kelly Slater and John Florence in the same heat, which he later called the greatest heat of his entire career. He lost the 2015 world title to Adriano de Souza on the final day. But titles did not matter anymore. His own words say it best. For me, 2015 was such a down year. Divorce, shark incident, lost my brother. I was just totally empty. I hit rock bottom. In 2016, Mick Fanning went back to Jeffreys Bay, the same spot where the shark had attacked him 1 year earlier, and he won the contest. Think about that for a second. The man went back to the exact place where a great white shark tried to take his life, and he stood on the winner's podium. But something inside him had shifted. The fire that once drove him to win titles was now a quieter flame. And after surfing the 2017 season to a 12th place finish, he told the world on February 28, 2018, that he was done. His final contest was at Bells Beach, the same place where a 20-year-old kid from nowhere had shocked the world 17 years earlier. Kelly Slater flew in just to say goodbye, and Mick was chaired up the famous Bells stairs one last time. But Mick did not just disappear. He turned out to be one of the smartest business minds surfing has ever produced. He co-founded Balter Brewing Company with his friend Joel Parkinson, and it quickly became the fastest-growing craft beer brand in Australia before they sold it for somewhere between $128 and $200 million. He also created Mick Fanning softboards and launched his signature Reef sandal, which has a bottle opener built right into the sole. That sandal alone has sold over 11 million pairs, making over $500 million in retail sales. And it might just be the best-selling piece of surf gear in history. He signed a lifetime deal with Rip Curl and invested in Palm Valley, a $300 million surf and golf resort, pushing his estimated net worth to around $13 million. Today, Mick Fanning lives in a stunning beachfront home on the Gold Coast that he designed himself with Greya architecture, calling it Onda, which is Spanish for vibe. It has 5 bedrooms, a sauna, ice baths, and a rooftop deck overlooking the ocean that made him a champion. He found love again with an American woman named Brianna Randall, and he proposed to her in February 2020 at Dreamtime Beach in New South Wales during what she thought was a baby announcement photo shoot. Their son Xander was born in August 2020, and their daughter Lila followed in April 2024, giving Mick, the youngest of 5 kids from a broken home, his own little family at last. But even in this new chapter, life tested him again. In March 2024, his brother Edward died in Madagascar while working as a surf guide after cutting his foot on a reef. The wound got infected, his heart gave out, and he became the 3rd Fanning brother to die. Mick is now the last surviving son out of 4 brothers, with only his sister Rachel remaining as the other sibling left. And yet, he keeps going. He still surfs Snapper Rocks when the cyclone swells light up. In 2022, he came back as a wild card at Bells Beach and beat the #1 surfer in the world at 41 years old. He hosted a 2-part National Geographic documentary called Save This Shark, fighting for the conservation of the same animal that once tried to kill him. He is an ambassador for the Starlight Foundation, which grants dream trips to children fighting cancer. The Australian government made him an Officer of the Order of Australia in 2017, and in 2024, he was inducted into the Sport Australia Hall of Fame. Mick Fanning once said something that explains everything about who he is. He said, "You learn a lot from the ocean. It is an extremely humbling place. It can change moods quickly, so you learn to roll with the punches, duck and weave and adapt. That is probably the way I approach life in general. He lost 3 brothers. He survived a shark attack on live television. He went through divorce, career-ending injuries, and nightmares that woke him at 2 in the morning. Every single time, he got back up. Today, at 44 years old, he is a father of 2, a multi-millionaire, a conservation hero, and a Hall of Famer who still rides the waves that shaped him as a boy. And that is how Mick Fanning lives. Not as a man who was never broken, but as a man who was broken again and again and again, and refused to stay down. Absolutely unbreakable.